Most entrepreneurs fail because they think too much and do too little. And if you're waiting for the perfect plan before you actually take action, then you're not really building a business. You're building an expensive daydream. Today, we put an end to that. My name is Yuri Elkaim. I'm a New York Times bestselling author, CEO of Healthpreneur, and over the past 20 years, I've been building 7- and 8-figure businesses, and I've helped thousands of others do the same. So let me show you the 7 ways to get out of your own head so you can actually succeed in business and in life. So the first thing is to understand that a wrong decision doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. And part of the reason a lot of people don't want to make a decision, they overthink things, is that again, they associate making the wrong decision with their ego, their self-identity. And therefore, if we make a decision that doesn't end up being right, then there's something fundamentally flawed with who we are as an individual. So please start to understand that you as an individual and your actions are not one and the same, right? If somebody says you're a bad person, that's an internal locus of self-identity attack. But if we say that behavior was bad, that's a different story, right? So it's not that you are a failure, it's just that the actions you took failed or they didn't work out in relation to the outcome that we wanted. So please understand that there is no wrong decision. The most important thing is to make a decision. Successful people make the decision and then they make it right. So it's not you are a good or bad person, it has nothing to do with the decision, just make the decision. That's the right thing to do. And part of being able to dissociate from the personal identity of decisions is to really understand there is no failure here. If you think about, okay, well, if I make a decision, what's the worst thing that happens here, right? It doesn't work out. Well, how do you define it doesn't work out? Because what a lot of people tend to do is they look at life in a very black or white binary perspective, right? It works or it doesn't. But the reality is life works on this very interesting spectrum in between. It's not about it works or it doesn't. It's to what degree is it helping me move closer to where I want to go? And so if you look at every decision as feedback and learning, then you can never lose. I often tell my clients you're either learning or you're earning. And the more you learn, the more you'll earn. The faster you learn, the faster you will earn. But life will continually throw people and circumstances at you to remind you of where you're stuck. And you will not get unstuck until you learn the lesson you're meant to learn. Very much like in a video game. If you're stuck at level 1 forever, you haven't learned the lesson to get past level 1. So when you look at making decisions as part of a learning process and a feedback loop, then it's like, great, what am I meant to learn? What's the feedback I need to get here? How do I grow through this? When you look at decisions from that perspective, it gives you I hope it gives you a lot more relief because it's not a life or death thing. It's like, awesome, I'm learning what I need to learn to get to level 2, or I'm learning what I need to learn to get from level 2 to level 3. And when that happens, you're able to move through life with a lot more grace, and you'll understand that making a decision isn't life or death. And that leads me to the second thing, which is the future, as I mentioned, is 100% imagined in your head. So you can either stop trying to control it, or you can write yourself a better future. If you've ever journaled, right, pen to paper and you wrote stuff down, you can do the same thing for the life you want to create. There's no one's holding a gun to your head saying, this is what your future is going to look like. Doesn't matter what your upbringing, doesn't matter any of the story that you might be telling yourself. Every single day you wake up, you have the opportunity to write a new story for your future. And so that is a choice. Overthinking is just, your mind's way of trying to play God, saying this is how it's going to be no matter what, because of this is how it was in the past. So please understand that the future is 100% imagined. Your future is literally a pen in your hands that you have the ability to write every single day. And so if you want to allow previous experiences to hold you back from the future, that is your choice. Or you can say, it is what it is, I can learn something from that, and I'm going to keep myself open to possibility because I know there are good people out there, there are good things that are happening for me, and that's a choice. So the third tool to hopefully help you reframe overthinking is the idea that the world is uncertain, but you are the certainty. A lot of people struggle, especially in business, and kind of tying what I said based on the story I just shared, because they're waiting for evidence before they can actually believe and move forward. But the way business works, the way anything is created in this world is you actually have to believe it before you see it. So what entrepreneurs do is we create things out of thin air. So let's look at a couple examples. The Wright brothers and flight/airplanes. What most people said is like, that's never gonna work. You guys are crazy. But they're like, no, 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 no. We believe in our mind. We can see this in the mind's eye before we see it with our physical eye. So they believed in something, they created something in their mind, and they brought it to reality in spite of violent opposition. And please understand that anytime we're gonna bring something new to this world or to life, everyone's gonna think we're crazy. Why? Because most people are living in the world of, let me see it first, then I'll believe it's possible for me. And that's why they don't succeed in life. Water is wet, fire's hot, life is uncertain. And if you're expecting anything other than that, you are going to live a very painful existence. Leaders decide to believe in themselves. They believe in what they're creating, and they believe it can work even before they see physical representation of it working. That's what the crazies on this planet do. The Elon Musks, the Steve Jobs, the Bill Gates, like all the people who've done anything meaningful, who you know or may not know. They all brought ideas from their head into physical reality, even though they didn't know it was going to work out. So please understand that you have to become comfortable with uncertainty. And the only way you can do that is understanding that you are the source of certainty. You are going to be okay. If something doesn't work out, you're going to be okay. Or again, we're projecting into the future and we're so worried about things because we feel fundamentally that we're not going to be okay. And that leads me to the fourth thing, is asking yourself, is this a reversible or irreversible decision? There's very, very few decisions in life that are irreversible. Nothing's set in stone. You can change. So I'll give you an example of where a couple examples where people get really stuck and take forever in business and it holds them back. Number one is, what niche should I choose to serve? If you're torn between two niches, two avatars, here's what you do. You take a coin and you flip the coin, heads or tails, that's it. If you choose the wrong avatar, the wrong niche, you can always pivot. But what would make it the wrong niche to begin with? You can pretty much build a very successful business in almost any niche, at least in the health space that I've been part of for the past 20 plus years. So avatar is the first area where a lot of people overthink things. Number two is price. Oh man, what should I charge for my coaching, for my service? Just pick a price. Who cares? You can change it literally every single time you talk with someone. Like, don't overthink this stuff. Well, why are we overthinking this stuff? Well, people might see this and they might compare it to this and like, who cares? Like, what's the worst case scenario? Like, again, we are projecting we're not going to be okay at some point in the future if this doesn't go well. Again, if you're not making a decision, you're worried about what's going to be like worst case scenario if this happens. Okay, cool. You make the decision and then make it right. And by making it right, what I mean by that is you find a way to make it work, which most things can work, or you can just revert back. It's not the end of the world. So most decisions are reversible. The key is to make a quick decision and course correct as you go. In fact, I came across an interview with Jeff Bezos recently, and he said the number one thing that's holding most people back in life is they take forever to make decisions. And so overthinking is a very, very big problem. And the remedy to this is just to make a decision, understand that it's always reversible. You're going to be totally okay in the future. And the only future that you're creating is the one you are creating. And that leads me to the next tool to help you reframe this, is there are two voices in your mind, the winner and the whiner. And the whiner is the voice that is always end of the world, doom and gloom, pessimistic, really fear-based. And that voice, that whiner, is always like, well, what if this doesn't work out? Are we going to be okay? Play it safe, stay in your comfort zone. You know, you don't really need to do this. That whiner is the voice that keeps you small and is what keeps 90% of the world small, doing nothing meaningful. You have the winner as well. All of us have these two voices. You have the winner, and the winner is like, just go for it, man. You're going to be good. I got you. You've done stuff before, even if it's not like this. Like, you can win. You can be successful. You are here for a reason. You will figure this out. And the key is, which of those two voices will you feed? It's either the voice of fear or the voice of possibility. It's the voice of doubt or the voice of your dream. The thing is, whichever voice you feed grows stronger. So instead of saying, what if this doesn't work out? That's the whiner. The winner says, I will make this work no matter what. It's a statement. It's not a question, right? What if I run out of money, right? That's the whiner, the fear-based. The winner says, I will find a way. It's that simple. And so understand that, like, when it comes to this, this thing called life, right? All of us move through life and these two voices are always at play. And whichever one you're giving more attention to is the one that's going to dictate your life, right? So when I talk about winners and losers, I'm not talking about like you are a loser. I'm just saying we have given more attention to that whiner, that loser voice in our head that is keeping us playing safe and keeping us in our comfort zone. And that's not allowing us to accomplish our biggest dreams. And that's really, really unfortunate. The sixth tool that will help you reframe overthinking, and kind of in line with what we just talked about, is actually just a really quick paradigm shift around the question. So again, instead of saying, what if, right? What if this doesn't work? I gave you a reframe of like, well, what if it does? Another way to think about that is turning what if into even if. So check this out. So even if this doesn't work, I will adapt, I will learn, and I'll come back stronger. And then, like, one of the easiest ways to question these beliefs or these small-minded questions to begin with is actually just challenging it with a question, right? So if I say something like, what if this doesn't work? Hey, well, how will you know if it doesn't work? So what if I fail? Okay, well, how do you know if you'll have failed? How do you know if this doesn't work? And there's some criteria in your mind that says, if I do this, I'm successful. If I do this, I'm a failure. Remember earlier I talked about the binary, the 0 and 1? You got to live in the gray. The easiest way to get it, like, what if this doesn't work? It's like, okay, what if this doesn't work? Well, why would it not work for you? What would make it not work? And that's because they're either here or they're either here. So the reframe around that is like, okay, cool, fair enough. Do you believe that if you followed this proven process, it might get you closer to where you want to go? I believe so. Yeah, like, okay, if I hired a trainer, do I believe I will get in better shape with that trainer compared to by myself? And the answer all the time has to be yes, assuming I actually show up into the work, right? If you work with someone who's been there and done that before, you will always move closer to where you want to go. That's just that's the truth of the universe. So it really, again, is coming back to this. It doesn't have to be black or white, binary. Is this going to help me learn, grow, and get better? Because if I keep doing that, eventually I will hit whatever that destination is. And remember, we put so much pressure on ourselves for like, this has to be the thing. This has to be the one and only thing. Well, like, maybe it's not. So reframing what if to even if. What if it doesn't work? Even if it doesn't work, I'm still learning, I'm still growing, I'm adapting. What if I lose my money? Even if I lose my money, I will build skills that will help me make more money in the future. Try that one on for size. And that leads me to the seventh and final reframe I want to give to you here with respect to overthinking, specifically with your business. You can always make more money, but you can never make more time. And this is probably the biggest thing that keeps people small. We actually surveyed our email list recently, and one of the biggest reasons that people who are making little to no money use for not being able to get mentorship is because they say they're not financially ready. And I understand that. If you don't have money, you don't have money. But that's also like saying, I'm not able to hire a trainer yet because I'm not in shape. When I hired my first coach, it was more money than I made in my previous year in business. I was not financially ready. But are you ever ready? This is the thing. This is the thing I want you to understand is like, we're waiting. So many people are deliberating and waiting. That's why I call it this expensive daydream. We're always waiting for the perfect time. The perfect time is yesterday, but yesterday is gone. So now is going to do. You don't know if you're going to be around tomorrow. And a lot of us walk around this planet as if we have forever to live. But listen, That may or may not be the case. The reality though is every single day that passes by that you're not moving somewhat closer to your dream, you are moving further from it. And the longer you deliberate and the longer you're not moving towards where you want to go, that ship might pass you by. Here's the thing, money buys you speed, right? So I talk a lot about advertising. I'm a huge fan of advertising because it buys you speed. It took me 7 years to make my first $1 million in my first business because a lot of it was content. When I started Healthpreneur 8 years ago, we made $1 million in our first 7 weeks because we bought speed by advertising. Now, I've also made a lot of mistakes in advertising over the years, but I've learned from that. And the thing is, I want to take a higher degree of action so I can learn faster. Even with our content, we have tried a lot of different things, in some cases, increasing the volume of output, especially on social media. And our whole approach was like, if we can post 3 times as much, we'll just learn 3 times faster. So I would rather buy time than worry about money. You see, successful people understand that money is cheap and time is expensive. But when you don't have any money, we think it's the opposite. And I get that because I was there. So it's a worthwhile endeavor to invest your money in order to buy back your time. And I know that might be nice to hear, but that's one of those things, this is one of those things that over time you will start to recognize as you grow in your business. So when you're looking at making a decision around something, if you can invest in yourself and if you can invest in your business, you will build skills that you will have for the rest of your life. And even if things in the short term are a little bit more out of pocket, you're gonna buy time and you can always make more money with the skills you're developing now and well into the future. So those are the 7 reframes to hopefully help you move through a lot of this overthinking. And just to kind of come back to basics, you're gonna be okay. You're going to be okay. No matter what it is you're deciding upon, no matter what it is you're thinking about, it's not the end of the world. You can always reverse the decision and you're still gonna learn and get better as you grow. If you've enjoyed this video and you're a health expert or coach who's serious about starting or scaling your online health coaching business, and you wanna see exactly how we do that with our clients, the next video will walk you through our $1 million health coaching roadmap. It'll show you the whole Healthpreneur operating system, the business model that we help install and run in our clients' businesses. So if that's of interest to you, click on the link or the video somewhere around here, check it out today. And at the minimum, subscribe to the channel. I've got hundreds of other videos coming your way to grow your mindset, grow your business, and live a much better quality of life in the process.